Broadcasting live in high definition. This is KBAK Eyewitness News at 6.
And the president makes a monumental visit today to Kern County.
Eyewitness News at 6 starts right now, and it was history in the making.
On two fronts, actually, today locally. The president made his first trip to Kern County as president.
And a very high honor for late civil rights pioneer and farm labor leader Cesar Cahvez. Our team coverage begins tonight with Jose Gaspar, who traveled to see the president. Jose?
Amity, the president came to the mountain community known as La Paz in Keene to declare the site as a national monument in honor of the late Cesar Cahvez, and he was warmly received by an enthusiastic crowd of about 7,000.
The President of the United States of America, Barack Obama.
Warmly received by a crowd of farm workers, dignitaries, and supporters, President Barack Obama came here to honor Kern County's best-known farm labor leader.
And so today we celebrate Cesar Chavez.
Cesar Chavez co-founded the United Farm Workers Union in the 1960s in Delano, fighting for better working conditions, fair wages, and medical benefits for farm workers. Nearly 20 years after his death, President Barack Obama designates this mountain community where Chavez is buried as a national monument.
No one seemed to care about the invisible farm workers who picked the nation's food. Bent down in the beating sun, living in poverty, cheated by growers, abandoned in old age, unable to demand even the most basic rights.
For many here, this designation as a national monument symbolizes tremendous change for a movement that originated with very humble beginnings.
It's a big day. It's a big dream.
72-year-old Maria Magana of Early Mart worked with Cesar Chavez from the very beginning. She was overcome with emotion, realizing that this struggle for civil rights is now recognized with La Paz being named a national monument.
We have the president here in us.
Si se puede!
United Farm Workers Union President Arturo Rodriguez used the occasion to thank the president and to press the issue of comprehensive immigration reform.
I mean, we want immigration reform not only for farm workers but for all immigrants in this country, and certainly we'll be talking to him about that and trying to determine how do we make that happen.
The president ended his speech saying the world is a better place because of the work exemplified by the late Cesar Chavez.
Let us honor his memory, but most importantly, let's live up to his example.
The president was joined by Helen Chavez, the widow of Cesar Chavez. The pair talked at the labor leader's gravesite where the president placed a rose. Lisa?
Jose, thank you. The president's visit to Keene comes with a political purpose, as the presidential election is now just 3 weeks away. Eyewitness News reporter Anthony Bailey looks at today's visit, its impact on the Latino vote, and what it may mean for a very tight presidential contest. Anthony?
Well, Lisa, as you can imagine, the president's event today was attended by politicians from Washington down to Bakersfield. Now, those we talked to say they believe today's gesture will go a long way toward courting one group of very important voters.
Buenos días. Si se puede.
Monday morning, thousands gathered from around the area to hear President Obama's remarks about the life of civil rights icon Cesar Chavez.
Determined, fearless, hopeful people who have always been willing to devote their lives to making this country a little more just and a little more free.
The events, which celebrated the Chavez Center's designation as a national monument, drew public officials from across the state.
This is history, and this is
San Jose City Councilman Xavier Campos, making the trip to Keene was a must.
Cesar Chavez's childhood home is in my council district.
He recalls the importance of Chavez's contribution to the Latino community.
He wasn't just a labor leader, but he was a civil rights leader.
It's a great day that this kind of appreciation and a monument that to represent a great man, Cesar Chavez.
State Senator Michael Rubio says beyond recognizing Chavez's accomplishments, he believes the president's visit will show his dedication to a group whose recent growth may play a larger role in the presidential election.
For this president to come forward and travel here to Kern County, specifically Keene, really shows that his heart is in the right place. I think the roots that make the Latino culture so special, self-reliance, hard work, and family, are all those values for which we are all seeking in our candidates.
Taking those values use to the voting booth is something Los Angeles Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa says would have made Cesar Cahvez proud.
Cesar believed in the power of the vote and the power of organizing support for the vote.
I'm just really excited to be a part of such a historic moment.
Bakersfield City School District trustee Andre Gonzalez believes the president's visit will have a lasting political impact long after the motorcade's departure.
I think this will encourage many young people to partake in local government, to get involved in their community.
Now, guys, we did some checking. The latest rounds of polls, of several polls from last week, show President Obama leading Governor Mitt Romney right now, about 70 to 20% as far as the Latino community goes. We also talked to political strategist Stan Harper. He says he believes that today's event was really a way to gain support within the Latino community in some of those swing states, because California is pretty much already locked up. Amity?
Thank you, Anthony. Well, the president touched down just after 10 this morning at Meadows Field, and there were plenty of people crowding the gates just to get a glimpse. Eyewitness News reporter Carol Ferguson was there. Carol, what's it like now?
Well, it's pretty quiet out here now, Amity. We're at the old Meadows Field terminal, and behind it you may be able to just see the roof outline of the new international terminal. Neither of these facilities are getting much use right now, unfortunately, but it made for a good, clear place for Air Force One to touch down. Actually, this area was closed off to the public, except for certain people who had special permission to be here. Air Force One rolls down the runway at Meadows Field, headed to the international terminal.
We have some family members that were able to get us into the group.
A group of about 70 people wait in an enclosure. Why did you get to be here?
My cousin works for the White House.
Everyone I talked to here had a connection, like a relative in the Secret Service or military at the White House. President Obama walked down from the huge plane, plenty of security nearby, and straight to the waiting group.
He came up and he shook Emmy's hand and Isaac's hand. We were standing kind of in the back.
What did you think about it?
It was pretty exciting.
The president worked along the barricade. Did you get to shake President Obama's hand?
Yes.
This hand right here?
Yes.
Did you get to say anything to him?
No. But he just said, "How are you?"
12-year-old Bryant De La Cruz was impressed. Though the group had special permission, they also went through a lot of security like the rest of us. Were you supposed to be up at La Paz?
Yes, I was.
I'd seen this woman outside security. She also got to see the president. You came here by mistake?
Yes, but I still was able to see my president, and I still hopefully can make it to the Paz.
Obama was quickly whisked off to La Paz, only spent about 15 minutes here.
It was a pretty short glimpse that we got of him.
Very short. I don't think you can make an impression
but he was
much
very nice.
Beyond nice.
June Harvick already has an impression. She's a big Obama supporter. Did you get to say anything to the president?
Beat Romney. That's what I said, and he said, I will.
The president was back a few hours later, boarded Air Force One to leave.
It was awesome. It went by so fast. But
Lauren Garrick had her 2 children here.
He asked their names and how old they are, and he made sure he touched the kids that he walked by, and it's just so amazing.
Now again, the president touched down at about 10, made the trip to Keene, came back and departed right about 1 o'clock. We're told his next stop tonight, he's in San Francisco at a fundraiser. We're live at Meadows Field. Back to you.
And Carol, we know you've been there since early this morning, so thank you so much for your coverage. You brought us all day.
You bet.
And while the president was met with excitement at the corner of Norris Road and Airport Drive, there were some not too happy with his arrival today.
Here's the thing. You can't get a second seat at the house. We never called them.
As some people were eagerly lined up to see Air Force One land and show support, others were there to protest the president's arrival. Many held signs showing their displeasure with the president.
I don't want this country to go into socialism, and Barack Obama is taking our country into socialism.
He's done a lot of good things while he's been in office. He's saved the auto industry. He's made people accountable for what they do and for the way they run their companies.
There was a confrontation between supporters and protesters.
And some disappointment surrounding the president's visit to La Paz as some of the people who signed up to attend the monument dedication were turned away. This is because the UFW overbooked the event, so some people who received confirmation emails were uninvited. During the ceremony, the UFW said that those who were admitted were first to sign up.
We're people who are upset, and understandably so, and all we can do is just apologize and explain that the response was so overwhelming and unanticipated and in such a short period of time that we cut it off as soon as we knew what we were dealing with.
The president's remarks were streamed live, though, on the UFW website during the dedication.
The president's visit involved a lot of special security, as you can imagine. As the president traveled to Keene, Highway Patrol officers could be seen controlling traffic along that route and holding back the crowds. And out at Meadows Field, many special arrangements were made for the arrival and the departure of Air Force One. Airport Director Jack Gocher tells us they were ready.
Well, it's a real big exercise to get all the equipment and get everybody together. There are a lot of different organizations that are involved, many from the county and then all the federal agencies. We've done this before. This is about the third visit that I've participated in. I've got about 16 people, and probably about 3/4 of that time this past week has been dedicated to this in one way or another. Yeah, that's a C-17. It came from McCord Air Force Base, and it brought some of the different equipment, and it brought Marine One. The county staff, and I'm sure the city too, was able to respond to the needs of this kind of a visit, and we're growing for the future.
And Gocher says that security is about control, and the airport always has good control of the area and of its access.
A presidential landing at Meadows Field should not come by surprise. At least 2 commanders-in-chief have landed at the airport in the past dozen years. This is video of President Clinton's stop in Bakersfield on April 15th, the year 2000, when he stopped at Meadows Field on his way to proclaiming the Sequoia National Monument. And in 2004, President George W. Bush came to Kern County to make a campaign stop at Rain for Rent during his bid for re-election.
And meanwhile, Republican candidate Mitt Romney bashed the president today on foreign policy. At Virginia's Military Institute, Romney said the president has failed to lead on a world stage, saying the conflict risk in the Middle East has grown under the Obama administration. He said if elected president, he would do more to help opposition fighters in Syria and would not hesitate to put new sanctions on Iran.
We must make clear to Iran through actions, not just words, that their nuclear pursuit will not be tolerated.
Romney also criticized the Obama administration's initial response to the Benghazi consulate attack, saying it was clearly the work of terrorists instead of protests over that anti-Islam video.
California Senator Dianne Feinstein has called for a federal investigation into gas prices in California. State gas prices have climbed by as much as 10 cents a day over the last few days. On average, drivers in California are paying $4.66 for a gallon of gas. Fuel producers are blaming the gas price surge on an oil refinery fire in Northern California and a power outage at a Southern California refinery. Experts say they think prices have peaked and are on their way down.
We've seen an immediate price reaction because the market knows the refiners can produce more gasoline. Now we expect wholesale prices at the distribution terminals to fall, and retail prices are almost at their peak.
Governor Brown has ordered state smog regulators to allow a cheaper winter blend gas to be sold 3 weeks early in the state.
The local soldier wounded by a car bomb in Afghanistan continues to make progress in his recovery. A spokesperson for Samuel Van Kopp says the soldier can walk with some assistance as well as have brief conversations, and his memory is improving. A piece of shrapnel became lodged in his brain when a car bomb exploded a few weeks ago. He will undergo surgery in a week to remove some skin and bone fragments within his skull.
A memorial service for political and community activist Al Wagner will take place tomorrow morning at Valley Baptist Church. 56-year-old Wagner was found dead in his home last week. He played a key role in the campaigns for former state senator Dean Flores and Michael Rubio. Wagner was also a former Wasco city manager and a board member for Kern Health Systems.
Justice will be served. The former Penn State coach Jerry Sandusky will soon meet his fate for his scandalous ways.